Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Konrad Gorlinski. The first story today, the Polish government rejected the suspension of the Turów lignite open-cast mine ordered by the European Court of Justice. The temporary ruling is based on the Czech government's lawsuit that claims that Poland operates the mine illegally. Polish authorities say that the mine is licensed and that it supplies a plant that provides up to 7% of the power in the country. It stated that the lawsuit is a competitive motion made by the Czech and German lignite open-cast mines that operate nearby. The Czech Republic objects to Poland's decision to grant Turów a license extension until 2026, with the perspective of an extension until 2044. According to the lawsuit, the Polish mine is endangering access to safe drinking water for thousands of families on the Czech side of the border. Polish authorities point out that all ecological requirements have been met, and there are many other mining operations in the Czech Republic that affect the quality of drinking water. Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki called the decision unfair and a danger to Polish citizens.
We
will counteract this unfair and unexpected decision made in the European Court of Justice. I believe we shall be able to convey our arguments. The European Court of Justice decision leads to an uncontrolled energy transformation carried out in a sudden manner which will negatively affect local communities. The Czechs filed a complaint with the Court of Justice of the European Union at the end of February. They claim that the Polish open-cast mine influences groundwater levels in the border regions. However, near the Polish-Czech and Polish-German border, there are already 4 operational open-cast mines belonging to the Czech energy group EPH. Their total production capacity is 6 times greater than that of the Turów mine. According to politicians from the Polish ruling party, the European Court of Justice decision affects the energy policy of the entire European Union. Poland has a number of options. First of all, we can contact the government of the Czech Republic. If they withdraw the complaint, the trial will automatically end. There is no doubt, however, that all these proceedings are a hostile step towards Poland, and we have to be aware of this. At the same time, the opposition considers the ruling a major victory. The president of Warsaw, Rafał Trzaskowski, is demanding that the government comply with the ruling, despite that closing the mine in Turów would expose Poland to losses of 13.5 billion zloty and would cut 3,500 jobs. And last week, a switchboard failure kicked out the power supply from the largest lignite-fired plant in Bełchatów. And today, the same facility experienced another problem, a conveyor belt fire. Reportedly, it took a dozen fire engines to put it out. Plant owner PGE, Polska Grupa Energetyczna, reported that the fire broke out before 11 a.m. A conveyor belt about 200 meters long and 30 meters high, which transports coal to power unit number 14, caught fire. The firefighting operation was difficult due to limited access to the burning object. After several hours of action, the firefighters managed to extinguish the fire. There is no information about any victims of the fire, nor is there information regarding its cause. Plant owner PGE is investigating the issue. The Polish Ministry of Foreign Affairs called for an end to the persecution of journalists in Belarus. Recently, the Lukashenko regime arrested staff at the Belsat television studio and at the largest independent website in Belarus, tut.by. The widow of the website's founder, Julia Czerniakowskaja, is under home arrest since Thursday. The Polish authorities are also concerned about the whereabouts of Andrzej Poczobut, a Polish national and an activist in the Union of Poles in Belarus. He has been detained since March, and his wife has very limited access to information about him. Arrests in the newsroom of the tut.by internet portal and in the Belsat TV studio are examples of the limiting of the freedom of speech and the right to reliable information. The European Union and the community of democratic states have repeatedly called on Belarus to rejoin the path of democracy and put an end to the persecution of journalists. We're making this appeal again. We call on the Belarusian authorities to a constructive dialogue and respect for fundamental rights as the appropriate means of reaching an agreement in Belarus. The Belarusian Ministry of Information blocked access to the tut.by website and detained its editor-in-chief on charges of publishing prohibited information. Police also entered the studio of Belsat TV and detained its technical staff. The police entered the portal offices and arrested 15 people. 3 or 4 of whom are still in prison. I found out about them coming into our studio in the afternoon. They blocked the recording of our flagship talk show. They also detained our team that was out doing a street probe. Our operator was arrested for 10 days. The people who find information pay the highest price. Health Minister Adam Niedzielski said that the third wave of the coronavirus epidemic is receding. But due to new mutations, the virus might return. Recent data shows slightly over 1,500 new infections and 191 deaths. The Ministry of Health has posted about 1,516 new infections and 191 deaths. From the onset, the total number of infections has reached 2,865,000, and the sum of deaths is approaching 73,000. So far, 17,620,000 vaccinations have been performed. The first dose was administered to 12.5 million people, and over 5,410,000 have been vaccinated with both doses. Fighting Solidarity, or Solidarność Walcząca, was a branch of the 1980 Solidarity trade union movement. After the martial law in Poland in 1981, its members decided to actively object to the oppression of the communist state. An exhibition devoted to these events was opened in Warsaw today. During the opening ceremony, Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki met people who worked with the Fighting Solidarity leader Kornel Morawiecki, the father of the current Prime Minister. Fighting Solidarity was an underground anti-communist organization operating in the years 1982 to 1992. Founded in June of 1982 in Wrocław by charismatic leader Kornel Morawiecki. The Solidarity trade union was surprised by the imposition of martial law, but the communists did not expect that the resistance of Fighting Solidarity would increase. Today, at the Museum of Steadfast Soldiers and Communist Poland's political prisoners, an exhibition devoted to Fighting Solidarity took place. We had to defend ourselves against the communists, and that is why Fighting Solidarity was founded. We can see it here at the exhibition. Many thanks to the authors. Fighting Solidarity wanted Poland to regain independence. On top of that, the movement proposed alternatives to Soviet communism, a social system based on the teaching of the Catholic Church, a solidarism. Activists made their case during street demonstrations. At the time, I created youth departments. I inspired colleagues. We made it. Communism in Poland collapsed. Communist Poland ceased to exist. Apart from Wrocław, Fighting Solidarity ran operations practically all over Poland, including in Warsaw, Poznań, Katowice, Jelenia Góra, and even abroad in Great Britain, France, and the former Czechoslovakia. The exhibition devoted to Fighting Solidarity will be available from May 25th at the Museum of Steadfast Soldiers and Political Prisoners of the People's Republic of Poland at 37 Rakowiecka Street in Warsaw. And Polish football player Robert Lewandowski has finally broken the 49-year-old record held by legendary German striker Gerd Müller and scored his 41st goal during the single Bundesliga season. It was typical Lewandowski goal, pouncing on a save by a goalkeeper to tap in a rebound. And that's all for today. Thank you and have a great Saturday evening.